Good morning, guys. I'm sorry I couldn't be in class today. I had a meeting I had to attend to, but I will be back tomorrow. I just wanted to leave you a quick video on what we're going to be doing today. So, this is the last week that we're going to focus on, I guess I should say, the specific aspects of the block-based coding. I really want to get further into the code-based coding, or I should say syntax-based coding, because I know, like I said earlier, some of you aren't interested in coding, which is fine. But those of you that are interested in things like cybersecurity or networking or just general IT knowledge, I'm going to be showing you some ways you can actually apply this to the IT field rather than just building apps or rather than just building computer programs, and how you can actually use it as a tool in the information technology community. So this is the last week we will be focusing hard on the block-based version of it. I really want to get down into the text and how you can apply it. But with saying that, we have a couple more pieces we are going to finish up with this. So first off, your zombie apocalypse game, I am going to be looking at that today. So if you haven't submitted it yet, please do that, because I would love to go over this with you guys tomorrow and just review the concepts, make sure everybody's on the same page with it, and just see what you guys have. So please make sure you submit that by the end of the day today if you haven't already. I do have most of yours submitted in here, but I'm missing a couple. Second, I just wanted to go over the daily agenda. So what we're going to be doing today, attendance at 8 a.m. per usual. Just make sure you're at your station ready to go by 8 o'clock. That's when Mr. Austin will be taking attendance. We have created accounts for you on the network, so you guys actually have your own logins now, finally. So, in order to log into this account, it's going to be your first initial last name is going to be the username, and then your password is initially going to be password1 with a capital P. Once you log in with it the first time, it's going to prompt you to change it. You can change it to whatever you would like to, just please make sure it's something that you can remember. Once you get logged in, now you can kind of customize what you got going on here. If you want to download any specific software that you use, if you like to have like Spotify on the computer, set a specific wallpaper, go at it, because now this is your desktop. This is your customizable area that you can make folders and icons and whatever you want in this space, because you're going to be the only one that's accessing it. So that's the first piece that I want to have you guys get started with today, is just getting logged in. Make sure you can get logged in. If you can't, please let Mr. Austin know, because he'll be able to get you all set up. Second, I do want you to take a look at your pseudocode from last week. We were working on that guessing game project together. This is going to be the basis for the day. So I want you to get with your partner and just kind of go over, okay, where'd you leave off? What issues had you run into, if any? And just trying to recap on what's going on with this, because I know it's been a whole week since we worked on it. You may have forgot what it even is. So it is that guessing game project. I want you to just go in and see where you left off. One of you should have uploaded to Canvas that document, that share document. If your partner is not here today, they should have shared it with you anyway. So you should have that progress. Alongside that, I do want to just review the basic concepts that we talked about for the pseudocode. If you guys want to use one of the whiteboard tables or the whiteboard itself to kind of sketch this together with your partner before continuing on the coding, go for it. But I'm going to review that piece right now with you as well. These slides are included under modules. They'll say pseudocode breakdown for guessing game. So that way you can access them later if you want to. So last week we talked about the backlog. This just considers what features you'll need, what the user interface should look like, how big should the screen be. So all those little elements when making the app. Now, in making the guessing game pseudocode, we had a lot of different things here. We broke this up so it was a little bit easier to handle, because the user needs to be able to guess a number, but then they need to get feedback, and they also need control over what's going on in the game and how things are controlled. So the first piece we looked at was guessing the number. For this, you can use a button and you can use a text or a text box. So the user can enter a number, guess in a text box. This is now applying that user input. They click on the guess button to submit a guess, and then the guess is compared to something in your code blocks. So that's how we kind of broke down that step. And this is where most groups left off with last week, was trying to first off create the user interface and then start with this guessing a number. The second piece was looking at the feedback. So now they need to receive feedback based on the guess that they submitted, and then be able to adjust their answer based on that feedback. So they should be able to get that feedback. It's going to be prompting them to do higher or lower. The feedback label will tell them how many guesses are left, and then it lets the user know whether they won or lost. So how we ended up breaking this down was by 4 labels. So they can receive that feedback to adjust their guesses. That would be a prompt with the high or low, a prompt with the guesses remaining. These are both labels. And then a win label, and you can also do a lose label. If you want to do them as one, that's fine. But I'm going to show you on my interface again how I just kind of hid one and it made it a little bit easier. And then we needed control over the game conditions. So this was control over, okay, what are they entering in that text box? What button are they pushing in order to enter that in? So if we remember, our user interface is going to have, it's a 2-player game. So one player gets to enter the number that will be then quote unquote the secret number, and they'll hit enter to save it. But then that box and that button should be able to disappear so that player 2 can't enter in that box. And there should also be a way to limit the number of guesses, so you can set a cap on 10 or 5, whatever you want, and then a reset or play again button. So that's where we looked at limiting the guesses with a global variable of guesses, and this would allow you to, every time that guess button is pushed, it's going to reduce that variable by 1. So now we're using that arithmetic operator. And when it gets to 0, it's going to show that lose label, or it's going to make that lose label appear back on the screen. So I did just want to bring back up my program as well, so you could see my user interface. I know everyone's designing their own. Yours might look different from mine. That is 100% okay. It does not need to look the same. What I'm looking for here is that you're incorporating the same concepts, not the same app itself. So you should have that guess. I have some labels: lower, time, win, lose, guesses left. I put a timer on mine as well. That's kind of something nice to have. It gives them like the option to, hey, you only got 10 seconds. Make a choice. This is the box for the initial player that says, okay, use my number, reset or play again. So this would be player 1 would enter the number 4. When they click on use my number, this box is going to disappear. And now it's going to allow player 2 to just make a guess. I also have that reset and play again button. These labels I can have hidden or shown depending on what I want to do at the beginning. You can do this in your coding side. You can choose to hide a label or hide a button from the initial start if you would like. That's totally up to you. When you're making your app, I do want you to put some design thought into it. Mine isn't too flashy. It doesn't have any crazy backgrounds or anything, but I think it looks clean. I think it looks nice. The text boxes are reasonably sized. The text is a nice size and color on the screen for when it displays for the user. So I just want you to make the user interface also look decent. It doesn't have to be like, I'm going to sell this app to Apple, but it should look good. So that was our pseudocode that we went over. And you should all have a picture of this as well, that one of your partners put up on your share drive. So make sure that you guys can just access that and reference back to it, because this is how you're going to actually break down the process of what piece you're working on throughout the day. So I just want to go back to the daily agenda. So you're going to review that pseudocode with your partner. Take some time to do this. Make sure you're actually understanding, okay, where did we leave off? Where are we at right now? And you can break it down a little bit. When you're breaking it down, try to set yourself some time limits. And we're going to play around with this tomorrow as well. I know myself, for instance, if I give myself, okay, I only have an hour to do this piece. I only have an hour to make sure that I can make it so the user can enter a guess and they hit the button and it'll save that guess. That's going to limit my time and it's going to put a little stress on me, but it's also going to make me more productive in the long run. So making yourself have kind of a time limit on things, and you can gauge it yourself today. Tomorrow, I'm going to actually gauge it for you, and we're going to have different time limits on different parts of our projects. But try to play around with gauging time and seeing if that little bit of pressure actually helps you be more productive throughout the day. So we're going to be working on that activity 114. This is going to be due at the end of the day. So in saying that, you have all day to make this perfect. You have all day to work on this, to debug this, to make the user interface look great. Use that time. Use the time that you have. Compare with your peers. Show each other what you got going on. Maybe another group has something that you would like to add to this, but you have all day to make this turn out great. I'm going to check these out tomorrow. So I'm going to have you guys actually put these on the tablets, and I'm going to come around and see what they look like, see how they work. I know you're going to submit the screenshots to me, and that's what I have for the submission down at the bottom here. Complete your activity 1-4, submit the screenshots here. So the user interface screenshot, or that main what does it actually look like, and then the block screenshot. But I want to play around with your app too. I want to see how it works. So I'm going to do that tomorrow morning with you guys. And then also, let's see, so you have lunch. You'll have a mass break in here. Mr. Austin will take you outside if it's nice. If not, he'll bring you up to the old gym. The key terms for this section, or I should say your temp chart, you want to add to that. So I did put that here as well. Complete your temp chart up to the word global variable. So there's only a few words left after that, but you should have up to global variable complete by this point. I also put as a number 2 for submission, which this one I guess technically isn't a submission, but if you finish this one early, the 114, the guessing game, it's a 2-player game, try turning it into a 1-player game. The 115 activity we're not going to do as a class, but take this as a challenge if you would like. Try changing that 2-player game into a 1-player game, and it's actually the directions are in the 115. So if you finish early, check this out, see if you can do it. Otherwise, you can work on your maze game project. So that's the last piece of this. And the reason I put asterisks is because I'm not looking for any submission on this today. We're going to finish up this tomorrow. But if you're done, use your energy, use your time to work on this with your partner. I know a lot of you have some great ideas. You were just starting implementing them. We've just gone over conditionals. We've gone over conditional statements, user input, how to manipulate that user input and actually put it in a variable and include it with a string. So you can start using the stuff that we just went over during the past 2 remote days and actually incorporate it into that maze game project. So look at those new concepts. And the overall theme for the day today is this image right here. So when you delete a block of code that you thought was useless, this is what's going to happen. You're going to fall. Something's going to break. It's not going to work. So I thought this image was great for our concept for the day because everyone's so quick to, oh, that didn't work. Just delete it. Oh, just get rid of it. We can add something else in. Definitely go back and just review that with your team. If you're working with a partner, it's a good strategy just to kind of converse over what you plan on deleting before you do. Because if you delete something, it could mess up your entire code. We see how the code blocks are linked. We see how they all connect together, and getting rid of that one could cause a catastrophic issue with your entire program. So just make sure you double check before you delete anything. If you have any questions while working on stuff throughout the day, feel free to email me. You can send me a remind. Mr. Austin is a great asset for questions as well. But I will be available if you need anything. End of the day, this is what I'm looking for a submission from you. Your completed 114, your completed temp chart, and then if everything's done, you can work on your maze project. I'll actually take this line 2 out so you won't even see this on here because I don't want you to think it's a submission. But this 114 and completing your temp chart is what is due at the end of the day today. Like I said, if you have any questions, please let me know. But I hope you guys have a great day. I'm looking forward to seeing your apps and your projects, and I will see you tomorrow.